Hello. Hello. Whoever's joined, hello, thank you, welcome. Just a quick refresh. There we are. Thank you for joining. Can you comment? Hit that like button if you haven't already. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Hello. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. Can you comment? Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for joining tonight. Just going to chill for a couple of minutes, see if anybody jumps in. But like I say, thank you for joining. Hopefully we'll have a really good stream. Thank you again, whoever's joined, thank you. Looks like we've got 5 people that have joined. Thank you for joining. Can you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already? Also comment in the comment section. So if you've just joined, I'm just going to wait about 5 or so minutes, see what people are doing. So we've got one comment come through. Unclear. All right, Shez, what do you mean? Uncle. I thought it said unclear. My eyes are shut. How we doing, Shez? Thanks for joining. How's everybody? How's family, kids, everybody? Have you hit that like button as well, Shez? Everybody else, thanks for joining. Just going to wait for your thingy to come up on screen. Don't worry about it. Every week now, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Or you can be #ReplayCo. I don't know if I'm clashing with any other subscribers that might be going live now, but thanks for joining, the 4 people that are joining. Gonna have a drink. That's what I've got to drink. Gonna make some coils. Past couple of weeks I made some aliens. Today, been playing around with the interlock alien, so we'll try that. So if you've joined and you don't know what this build stream is all about, it's slightly different to other build streams where I actually make the coils from scratch. So just in case you're new to vaping or been vaping a long time, you get to see how it's done. And also people that use pre-made coils, you know, from coil makers, you get to see a little bit of what they go through to make these coils, but in a higher volume. Yeah, I'm all good now. I'm not in, don't live in Leeds now, I live in Pontefract. How's your little one? I know you had a little one. I see you post about her. So anybody else that's watching, do you fancy commenting? Just to let me know who you are, where you're from, or where you know me from, because I post on different social media. And if I'm not looking directly at the camera, I'm looking at my screen there so I can see the comment section a little bit better. But welcome, I'm vaping on the Pulse Mini. I've got the Mod Mini bridge in there. Oh wow, grow up so quick, mate. So I'm also got the Bonza Pro on my DIY box mod, still vaping that. So going to just a couple of more minutes. Been running about 6 minutes or so. See if anybody jumps in or jumps out. It's good to see you, Shez. Or hear from you, should I say. So anyway, I suppose we can get started with the beer. So the one that I'm doing is just me normal. One that I get from Lidl, coffee stout. Nothing special this week. So there we are. It's dripping a bit, 5.2% volume. It's dripping a bit because it's been in the freezer, so it's nice and cold, as well as my glass. So I'm not using any special glass, it's just my favourite glass. So let's pour. There we are, still dripping everywhere as well. Put that there. So cheers guys, hope you've got something nice to drink. Yeah. Well, you know me, Shez, I like pink. So we moved to Southempton, so I've got my own room now, instead of a little corner in the room. So I've actually got a whole room now. So I'm going to pair this with what I've got in the Bonza Pro. Welcome, who's joined. So this has got custard cream juice. Let me try and get this all legal and above board for YouTube. But that's what I've got in the Bonza. Thanks for joining, guys. Custard cream, that's what I've got in there. So it should go nice with this coffee stout, a bit creamy and everything. Thanks for joining, guys, whoever's come. I've got a coffee stout. Can you comment, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already? So I've got a custard cream in this, should go nice with a coffee stout. So let's have a two. Interesting. I thought it'd bring more of a creamier taste to it, but it has brought out the coffee flavours in the stout. Oh yeah, definitely brings out that coffee. Better slow down, otherwise I'll be on my tits. So I'll just put that there. So tonight, obviously, it's a retro vape channel. So most of my stuff is kind of old. Well, not old, but what I've acquired over 10 years. So past couple of streams I've done an RDA, so I wanted to do an RTA 30mm one. Excuse me. So what I normally do, if you're new or you just joined, give you a quick look at the RTA, what we're going to build on, and then I'll get me set up and we'll start making some coils. Okay, and then we'll build it, get it vaped, and see how it goes there. While I'm building, if I don't see your comment, I apologise, but I am concentrating, but I do take a glance every now and then. Okay, so I'm filming on my phone, so I haven't got no special get up where I've got multiple cameras about, so I will be moving the camera about. So let me just grab this. So 30mm RDA, it's Aromizer Plus, but it's a special edition. So let me adjust. Pull my camera. As you can see there, that's where all my build shit setup is. So lock this into place. Get that up to about there, I think. And just point this down as well. So that's a bit better. So like I say, RTA that I'm using is a Aromizer Plus, but it's a special edition one. So I don't know if you're a bit familiar with this type of RTA, but like I say, it's a special edition one, and the difference between the normal and the special edition one is that the original, the drip tip used to stay to the device when you used to take the fill port off. So when you took that off, your drip tip was still attached there. With this one, the drip tip stays in the head, so there was just a slight revise on it. Otherwise, it's still exactly the same with juice flow control, just there at the bottom, and then the airflow is exactly the same. So this you can run in a tank mode. You can get extensions to make the tank even bigger. There was a bubble glass for this, but I don't think they do it anymore on Stephen Cream website. It's an RDTA. So to get to the deck, you take off the bottom, and it's one of those pop out decks. So it pops out like that. So it's a postless deck, as you can see. Positive and negative. Coils go in there, wicks go in the side. Then that just pops in and it sets in these little ridges just there. You can see a little step there, like that. And then the juice comes down from those little bits on the side, comes down, hits the deck from underneath. I suppose that's why they called it an RDTA. Like so. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about this RDA. If you want to see me do a review on this, because there's loads of reviews that you can check out. So it sits there into there, and then that goes on like that. Top fill, like that, 30mm. So that's what we're going to be building on at the end of making the coils. That's how I keep my tanks nice and clean. I use these pop tubs like that. So I'm going to adjust again. See, I messed up. You see, I normally put my camera at the top of my desk like that instead, which is what I probably should have done. So I'm just going to adjust my camera so you can see everything that I am doing. Like so. Sort the camera out. There we are. So this is my bench. And like I did last week, I have messed up again because I just need to adjust this a bit back just so I've got more room. So I'm sorry about the camera, guys. Like I said, I haven't got a dual camera set up at the moment. So there we are. You can basically see what I'm doing. So interlock aliens. So it's similar to an alien. If you don't know what an interlock alien is, I'm just going to bring my swivel across. So this is my swivel. So what I'll do, so you can see me a bit better. If I do that, there we are. You can see me a bit better. So this is my swivel that I use. Just attached to a board, and it swivels. It turns, ball bearing swivels. I use a little table sort of thing to hold my drill in place. So I'm just going to move that over just a smidgen like that. So I use this little stool thing to mount my drill, because I like my drill high when I build rather than me doing it low here on the table. I rather have it within my eye length. So I'm just going to set that there. I use a drill that I got in a Daedalus Pro years ago that I used to use, but after a while it just took the fun out of making coils. So I perched that on there. I use some binoculars because my eyesight is completely crap. I use one of these clamps that I got from Tool Station, and that's just to hold my drill in place. So I'll get to my tools just here. So I'll be using this. If you joined my live stream before, then you know what this is. It's just my core holder that I got from Friendly Core Factory in France. No, Tim, I don't hate MTL builds. I'm just not an MTL vapor, mate. But I don't hate them. I have vaped MTL, but I don't help MTL. I'm more of a super sub-ohm sort of guy. But thanks for joining, Tim. Appreciate it. So this is what I use here. I'll just move that off there so I can see. So that's what I use to keep my cores straight. I use this nutcracker just so I can grip my jaw of my drill. But no, Tim, I don't hate MTL builds, but I don't even think I've got the eyesight for such small wires. But it is something I've got some 32 gauge, and I am tempted to do a 32 gauge and a 40 gauge MTL, probably to use in my pulse burrow. Yeah, true. A lot more tricky. So like I say, I'm going to do an interlock, so I'm going to be using some 26 gauge NI80 from Stealth Vape, like I've been using, and some 36 gauge for the D-core. So you needed like a double D-core for an interlock alien. You make it exactly the same, only you do like a parallel D-core. So you've got two wires to give you that interlock look on it. So I'm going to need some pliers, some cutters that have gone blunt extremely quick. I use this clamp on my desk for stretching my D-core, so I'll put that on the side when I need it. So what else do I need so far? I need the Allen key for the chuck of the core holder. So I'll open that so it is ready. So to stretch my wire, I'm just going to hold and pull. NI80 is a really thin wire, so you can give it a good tug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch and cut 3 pieces of wire. The first 2 I'm going to do 25 centimeters or 250 millimeters, 2 of them, and then 130 centimeter, 300 millimeter to do my decor on. Because when you're doing aliens and stuff like that, you just need slightly more decor than you would need to obviously take up the space. So I'm going to just measure out 25, and I always have extra so I can play, because I've obviously got the chuck of the drill and the swivel. Like I say, I am completely blind. Been messing around with my LEDs to try and get the lighting a bit better. So I'll give it a little pull and it straightens up. So I'm going to do... Alright Mike, how's it going mate? Thanks for joining. How we doing mate? Yeah. Yeah Tim, that's good. That's mad lengths. I try and do enough for 2 coils. I try, you know, because I'm only building for myself. Cheers mate, thanks for dropping in mate. You guys watch a lot of streams. Is anybody streaming at this time? Am I conflicting with anybody else that is streaming at this time? So I've got my 3 cores of 26. So I've got my 225 just there that I'm going to leave there. I've got my 1 that I'm going to be doing my claptoning on. Or my decor is what I'm going to be doing. So like I say, I need binoculars because I am blind. Just helps me see the wire a bit better. But at the same time as me, that's probably why. I think I've dropped in, I think on theirs a couple of times as well. So I'm just going to insert my wire into this core holder. It has got a little dimple in the center, so I know when my wire is center. So I've got it center. Then I'm just going to give it a little nip up. So I always put a bit extra than what I need here, just to begin with, where my swivels are. I'm going to put a little bend in it just to make it easier for the swivel. Make sure my swivel is closed. So I'm going to thread that through the swivel just there. I'm going to pull tight on the drill because I've already got it clamped down, and then I'm going to fold this end piece around the wire a couple of times. Oh, is that Facebook, is it? Oh, right. Still, they might have better content. That's probably why people are just not know many people know that I'm here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it pretty tight. You want a bit of resistance in there. It's a bit too much. So I'm just going to move that across and clamp it down. So I've got enough resistance just there. And everything's spinning as it should be. Gonna have another drink. Cheers guys. So what I'm going to do is so like I say, with an alien, whichever way you feel comfortable wrapping your alien, which I do over the top, I'm going to do my decor wrapping from underneath. So once I've got 1 core, which I'm going to do about halfway of what I need, because then I'm going to fuse another wire in between it all and go across, and then that's obviously going to make it a bit more. So out of my 30, I'm going to need about maybe 15 or 150 millimeters of Clapton, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to fuse another one in between that Clapton to make it, and then obviously it's going to move along and then give me a longer piece. So let's see how that goes. So 36 gauge is what I'm going to do. Like I say, I need my binoculars so I can see. So I'm going to take my 36 gauge. I'm not going to mess about on a live stream because it normally goes wrong, so I'm just going to, where is it? Just going to grab my tweezers and just wrap this around this screw just here, just to make it easier, and I'm not messing around trying to thread it through the truck. There we are. And then I'm just going to lock a few wraps, make sure my drill is in the reverse, like that. So I'm not going to hold hard, hold it at 90-degree angle and let it rip. So I'm holding it at 90-degree angle. I'm not holding it too tight because obviously I want it to be not completely tight on the core. So I can see this here, about 90-degree angle. Like I've said before, if you go over yourself at this point, just stop, reverse, slowly take it off, and then carry on. So I'm going to get about halfway down this core piece like this, Clapton in it. So as you can see, I'm Claptoning from underneath, so the wire's going underneath. So I don't do the pull method. Is it the pull method? I do the stretch method because I just find it easier for the way I like to build it. So I'm just looking at this now. I want to be about halfway. I'm looking at that now. A bit more ways to go. Thanks for staying, guys. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to go a bit further than that. Let's go a little bit further. And then I'm going to stop there. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail on there, and it might spring back. Some fluff on that, so I'm going to just take that. It has sprung back. Just going to lock that off because I'll be going down again. So I just want to check that it's loose, which it is. So what I like to do here, if I can, is slightly open up the end, just to help get that second decore started in between. So I'm going to be fusing it again, only with another line going down that'll build it up and take it further down. So you've got a parallel wire that gives it that interlock look. Let me just pop that around there a bit tighter. So like I say, I'm going to go again. So I'm going to set up this wire exactly the same way as I did before. I'm just going to put it around this screw. like so. I'm just going to pull that just slightly, and then I'm going to get this going slightly. So I believe I am in between now, so I want to hold this a little bit tighter than what I was, because I want it to go in between that fuse that I've already done. So once you've got a nice tight thingy on it, it will move, because obviously it's done it light. So I'm just going to hold it a bit tight just so it fuses a bit better. 90-degree angle, and let it go. So that's fusing nicely. I'm holding it a bit tighter than what I did before, just so it goes in between that wire nicely. So that's going in between, that'll move down as I'm doing it. And as long as it's loose on the first time you decore it, it should just go in between, nice as pie. Still keep it at a 90-degree angle, but just keep your wire a bit tighter than you did the first time round. So I might run out of a bit of space here. There's a bit of extra decor just there. So I'm going to lock that off. That should give me enough to do what I want it to do. So I'm going to leave a tail on it like I did normally. Thanks for joining, whoever's joined, I'll dip back in. So I'm preparing my decor for my interlock. So I've got two little pieces there. So what I'm going to do with this extra bit that I've got here, I will end up pulling it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here. And then with these two bits here, I'm going to cut a decent enough amount off. Like that. Then I'm going to, it should be enough to slide it off. So about there is where I want a little tail, so I'll pull that off there. So it's parallel with the end of the wire for the second bit that I fused, just so I know where I am. So there we are, there's your decor. With this end, with the excess, I'm just going to trim. So be careful with this bit at this stage before you get a chance to stretch it. So that's my dual fused decor. Like so. So get rid of that. So now to set up the 3 wires to make the cores. So I'm just going to undo this chuck. And get my piece of wire out. Like I say, I like to have extra just so I've got wire to play with. Obviously it going into the chuck and then also going into the swivel. So I always like to have extra, just line them up. run my hand down and then just cut them so they're all parallel basically. So with this end, this is what I'm going to put in the chuck to keep them flat. So I'm going to slide that into the chuck. So if, as long as I press down on that, I can feel that middle wire sitting in that center bit, just there like that, which I can't because I've done it wrong. So I'm having a problem with the end of this. So like I say, that's why I like to have plenty of wire, so I've got plenty of wire to play with, or if I need to trim. Just make it a bit nicer, a bit neater going into this bit just here. So like I say, I can feel it when the middle wire sits in that little tiny groove, that center point. So I'm going to lock that down. So let me move it down a bit more. There we are. That's more center. So I'm going to make sure that's locked in, like so. Run my hands down the cords just to make sure that they're all parallel, which they are. So at this point I'm going to use a wire guide. This is another thing that I got from the RDA.s Pro, and I use it for making my coils. Just keeps the coils nice and flat and parallel next to each other while you are fusing. So I'm going to run my hands down it again. Then I'm going to slide this guide on onto the wire. I'm going to just put it straight down to the chuck. Make sure it's all parallel again. Then again, I'm going to grab my pliers and then I'm going to just pull in it just slightly, just to keep it taut. I'm going to put an L in it. Undo my swivel again, bring it closer and just clamp it down just slightly. I want to try and keep this as taut as I can, just so I'm not putting any bends or anything in there. So I'm going to put that parallel through and then I'm going to pull. It's a bit too close. Just pull that back a bit just to help me with a bit more space. So I'm pulling against that, I'm keeping it, making sure it's all parallel, which it is. I'm going to bend these wires over and then holding this taut with this hand, okay, against the drill, I'm going to pull and then I'm going to take these wires and then I'm going to fold over and lock that in like that, so it's nice and taut. Make sure that this slides freely, which it does. Perfect. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to adjust my swivel. And thingy, so I want a bit of resistance in, but not a lot. But I don't want it loose as well. So I'm just going to nudge that slightly across a bit more, just so it makes it a bit more taut, which I think needs to be a bit more tight, I must admit. So I'm going to make sure that's sticking out like that. So I've got my core wires the way I want it, enough resistance in it, guide moves freely, perfect. So bit of tissue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my decor. So I'm going to be using this clamp to go against my desk just while I stretch it. So I'll be getting up out of my seat and adjusting my seat. So I want that loose enough for my decor. So with this decor, same thing on this side. I'm just going to give it just a bit of a pull with both the wires, like that. Just to start off a bit of that looping. I'm going to clean it up, make sure that it doesn't snag on anything, your clothes or anything. So I'm just going to clean that end up. Then I'm going to, this side here, I'm going to put into this clamp on my desk. So I use this because it's easier and it's simpler for me, and I can clamp it against my desk, which is very tough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get up and I'm going to stretch this decor using this. Now I can't tell you how to stretch this because it's all about feel or all about look. I look at it, so I tend to understretch mine so I've got a better pinch when I am obviously doing the obviously Clapton and doing the alien part. So I always understretch. I try to understretch it. If you overstretch it, unfortunately, it's game over. You're gonna have to do another decor. So I tried, like I say, to understretch, just so I've got a bit of a pinch while I'm aliening. So I'm just going to move my chair out a bit more, just so I've got a bit more room while I'm doing it. So you'll still be able to hear me because of my microphones. But I'm going to get my decor. So that end that I got, those two little ends, I'm going to grab with my pliers. I'm going to grab tight, get a good clamp on it, and then I'm going to pull. But as I'm pulling, I'm also looking at the wire. I'm using my binocular things here to look at the stretch that I've got on it. And I'm hoping I haven't just overstretched it there, but we'll find out soon. So I'm just going to release it, keep it. So let me just have a, I think we should be good. We should be good. So I'm going to release my clamp off my desk, or off my bench, should I say. And then I'm going to pull this end out. So this end that I've had clamped is what I'm going to put in my chuck. The other end I'm going to hold on and put it obviously between my legs, but try and get it underneath my chair because you don't want it snagging or anything. Excuse me. And you want plenty of room to do what you're doing as well. I really hope I haven't overstretched that. I really hope I haven't overstretched that. But we soon will find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that core core guide. I'm just going to lift one of these wires up and thread that in there. So I'm just going to put the tail end of it in. I'm going to use my guide just to get it all the way up to the chuck. And then make sure my drill is in the opposite direction. Bring my chuck or my core guide here up there. It looks a bit like I might have overstretched it, but we soon will find out. And then I'm just going to see what I need to do. So it looks like I'm alright. So like an alien, you want to be slightly more towards the swivel. You need to have a good pinch on it. And just hope for the best. Make sure, just stay ahead of the game. And that has decided not to play ball with me. So like I say, at the beginning, you are going to get some bits that are quite not right. So what you want to do here is, if you find that your wires are collapsing, just do that. So like I say, you don't want too much of a pinch on it. And this seems to not be working right. I think I might have got me pull a bit too much. Let's see how it goes. So I'm finding that my wires are collapsing a bit, so I'm just pinching them. So it's the pinch that I'm not getting right. So I want to make sure that those are parallel. So I actually think without too much of a hold on it, should work fine. So there we are. So I messed up there. Got a decent amount there. But like I say, it doesn't always work out or go to plan. Suppose if I get one decent coil out of it, I could do one. I could do one decent coil out of it and do a single coil. So I can do that on that deck. So I don't want too much of a gap. Not pinching it too much. I think I got it stretched more or less right because I don't have much of a pinch on it. But that's what's important, is your pinch. So I've got my pinch right at the moment. I'm going an alright speed. I have. So there we are. So as you can see, that went completely tits up. So I did get a good stretch on it. I just didn't have everything set up as to plan. But that's how it goes. It didn't always go right, and I'm sure with professional coil builders, they'll tell you the same thing. So if I can just salvage this wire a bit. I know there's nobody tuned in at the moment, but it's a build stream, so I might as well do another decor and carry on. I'm just going to pull that out. That is absolutely trash. So what I'm going to do here, so I don't have to do too much adjusting here, I'm going to release this out of the clamp. I do have two swivels, so I'm going to remove one swivel just so I can keep this okay. So don't want these to get damaged in any way, which I think I have done already. I'm going to keep them flat, so I'm going to start again. I'm going to get myself another piece of 26 gauge just to decore. So I want about, oops, the dreaded let everything go. Oh, I hate it when that happens. So I'm going to grab this end. I'm going to give it a little tug, like so. And then I'm going to roughly cut about 30 centimeters or 300 millimeters. I don't know what it is in inches, so you have to go there like that. I hate it when that happens to the wire, but what can you do? So I'm going to move my swivel. I want to straighten my coils. Thanks for dipping back in, whoever was here. I ruined my decore and had to start again. So I'm doing another decore, quick decore, another decore. Like I say, this is a building stream, so might as well build. But like I say, this is what can go wrong for not just me, but people that you buy coils off. They don't get it right. Always, every time. So, like I say, it's just the name of the game. It's just how it goes. So I'm just going to straighten this for a bit. So I'm just holding it in one end and then I'm just going to let it rip. Not holding too hard. Just to keep that nice and straight. So I'm going to bring my swivel over again. So whoever's dipped back out or dipped back in, I have got 2 swivels, but I've taken 1 swivels because my 3 wires are already set up there and it'll just make it easier for me. Just to quickly do another decore and hopefully not mess it up this time. I think it was with the pull, with the stretch. When I stretched it, I think I more or less stretched it dead on. So when it came to obviously wrapping my wire, it just messed up on me. Because I was pinching too hard and then I was making the cores fold up, even though I've got that guide in there. But like I say, this is a build stream and just this is the name of the game, really. This is what happens. Even to those ones that you buy it off professionally, they do these in bigger quantities. So that's got a little bit of resistance on there. Let's hit it with this 26 gauge again. So I'm doing another parallel decore because I messed up my first one. So just gonna wrap that wire around there. Make sure my drill is in the opposite way to where I want to wrap. So I'm just going to quickly let this rip again. I'm doing this decore again because I messed up the first time. So like I say, this is the name of the game. Whoever's joined back in, appreciate it. But like I say, this is just the name of the thing. If you mess up your stretch on your decore, you're going to have to start again. I like to stretch just under, but it looks as if that didn't happen. I overstretched it. But like I say, for those that use pre-made coils from companies, obviously they're doing this on a bigger scale and they've obviously been doing it probably a lot longer than me. But every now and then they do get it wrong or they get imperfections. So I want to do again about half this wire again. And then do another decore parallel to that. Now the reason why I'm not just pulling off 2 pieces of wire and holding 2 wires and decoring it, with 2 wires, the wires will probably end up snagging. So I'm going to stop there for the first bit of the decore. I'm going to leave a tail on there. I'm going to leave a tail on there. See if it moves, and it does. So let's hit it again. So this one I'm going to fuse in between the one that I've already just done. So there again, I'm just going to do it around this wire here. And then I'm going to try and get it in between that bit of wire. Don't come off. So there is a little gap just there. Now hopefully if your first core that you did is loose, which I know this is, it should just fuse parallel with it perfectly. You just have to, second time around, just hold your spool a bit more tighter, just so it goes in between. So you probably can't see it close up, but that is just fusing in between that first fuse that I just did. I'm just holding my spool just slightly tighter so it falls in between the first Clapton. And the first one, I don't know if you can see it on camera, is slowly sliding down. So whoever's just dipped in, as you can see, I'm making another decore because I slightly overstretched the first time around, and it's just how it goes, really. You don't always get it right the first time. So I'm nearly at the end of this. So I'm going to slow down just slightly because I want to be just at the end there. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to leave a bit of a leg, about the same length, like that. So I'm just going to undo this part. That's recoiled. So that one is a bit tight, so I'm just going to put my thing in reverse and just hold it. And hopefully what that'll do is just loosen it like it has there, like that. So I'm going to cut this off. I don't need this core wire, but I will save it for another build. So I'm just going to pull that off there. Like so. So I've got another decore just there to go at. I'm going to set up my wires again just before I stretch this new decore. So I've got my wires there. I want to make sure that they don't move and they still stay parallel like they were in there, which they are, I think. I'll sort that out in a second. So I'm just going to put this swivel back on, hopefully without trying to bend my wires back on there like that. I'm just going to check the parallelness, check to see that everything's parallel, which it is more or less. So wire guide, I don't want to lose that wire guide right in the middle of the stream. So wire guide goes on. Okay, so that's nice and thingy. Still keeping your hands rolled down here just to make sure it's parallel. I'm going to loosen that off just so I can put this end into this core holder. Just going to undo it. Thanks whoever's dipped back in. I've said it once, I'll say it again to the other people that have dipped back in. I screwed up my core, my D-core, so I've had to quickly make another one. So I'm just setting my wires back up. There we are. Just setting my wire back up. My 3 cores. Just going to nip that. And then I'm just going to pull this. So that is pretty loose. So I need to So that's back to how it was, more or less. So that's back to how it was. So let's go back to stretching my D-core again. So I'm going to clear this end up. So one of these ends I'm going to put underneath my clamp that I've got on the side here again. So I'm making sure I've got the end under a flat bit. So I'm pulling them, both of them parallelly. So let's get this pulled again and see if I can do it a bit better. So like I say, some people go on feel, I go on look and feel. So I'm grabbing the 2 ends on this side, very tight, and then I'm going to pull, keeping an eye on my stretch, which I think is perfect just there. I'm just going to release that with my thing because it'll spin a bit. So don't, like I said previously, be careful with this wire now. You don't want to snag it, you don't want it getting caught on anything. So I'm just going to pop it under and between my legs, under the chair and between my legs. So I've got it in a way now where it's understretched. I can definitely tell it's understretched. So same as before, just going to lift one of these wires up. I'm going to try and lift one up. So got that wire threaded in there. I'm going to just use this core guide just to push it to the chuck. Make sure your drill is in the opposite way. I'm going to do a couple of wraps just to get it going. I'm going to make sure that's over here like that. And then I'm just going to see where I am with my stretch. So you want to be ahead of the game. Just like you would with a normal alien. I'm going to speed up slightly. So I've got a nice pinch going on. Yeah, that's a lot better this time around. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit. I don't like to go too fast because then it messes up on me. That's a lot better. I got the stretch a lot better, and as you can see, the wire's not folding on itself and that core guide is moving as it should. Yeah, a lot better. So I'm glad I did my decore again. It's just, like I say, it's one of those things, you overstretch it, you have to start again. Simple as. And it's what I did, and it's alive, so it's going to happen, and it's alive, it's going to happen. So I am tempted to go faster, but if I go faster, I know I'm going to mess up. So I'm not. I'm just going to keep it at this steady pace like I did before. Keep my pinch right. Make sure I'm not pinching too much. Just so they sit nicely on those cores. And obviously as you go faster, you've got to sort of release your pinch as well, which is what I haven't mastered yet. So I'm getting to the end of my core wire, and it's a matter of getting it right and moving with it, keeping that pinch, which I haven't. But I've got a decent amount there. I don't know if I'm going to get two coils out of it, but I've got some nice wire there. So I'm going to cut that off. So I'm going to cut there because then that can be a leg. Let's measure this. So I might actually get 2.5mm coils out of this. Yeah. So it's not the perfect, there is a bit of imperfection just there where my finger is. But yeah, should be good enough to vape. So let's have a drink. So let's have a quick vape. So a bit of housekeeping. Let me get that out of my chuck. Put that back up. So I'm gonna just get rid of my wires that I've got here. Make sure that doesn't thingy. Remove my swivel for now. Get rid of that. Don't need that. Get that back mounted. Don't need that anymore. And just set the drill off to the side. Bam. Put that back up there so I don't lose it. So, just going to move my mat back into thingy. There we are. Okay, welcome back. Whoever's come back, I have got one. It did work out better second time round. There is a few imperfections in there, but not bad enough for it to affect the vape. Like I said, I've had to do my decore twice, and that's just the way it goes, I'm afraid. When you're building coils, it'll either go correctly or it'll go wrong. But I did do another decore. So I'm going to get my building mod. Let's see if I can just zoom in here. Don't want to lock it. So if I do that, there we are. So there we are. So I'm going to get my Robomizer Plus. So got the deck out. I'm going to zero out my building mod. Put the deck on there. So I'm going to get it ready by undoing the post holes. So that's obviously a 1.3, not a 1.5. And I'm dropping stuff. So there we are. I'm going to just undo my posts. So it is ready. Post holes are ready and open. I'm going to do 2.5 because I haven't got that much of wire length. So 2.5 mil core ID diameter, 2.5 mil ID of the coil. I think I had about the same amount last week. So similar to an Alien, they'll have one flat side and one dip side. Dip side you want at the top. So I'm going to start off with 5 wraps, and if I can get away with another wrap after I've done the other side, then I will do so. Let's start off with, let's do 5 wraps. So I've got that there. Ooh. So 1, 2. I think I might have messed up here, guys. I might have, I don't know. So 3, 4. And I don't have enough. Right, let me see if I can salvage this in any way, because I don't want to waste it. So let's see if I can do one big coil. So I'm just going to hold that end gently and gently unravel this. Like that. So very, very carefully put this, try and salvage this wire the best I can. So I don't have enough wire to do the 2 coils that I wanted. So instead of just giving up, I'm going to try and salvage this wire and make just a big, massive coil. So hopefully I haven't messed up too bad. So I'm going to do a 4mm coil in this and hope for the best. So put that back, get the 4mm jig out. And like I say, hopefully I haven't screwed up this wire too bad. So I'm just going to be very, very, very careful and see what I can do. So if I go for we are 3, 4, 5. So I'll be honest with you, that's not the best looking coil I've ever done. So I'm just going to use that just to pull slightly, just make it a bit more. I suppose that is better than nothing. It's just the way it goes, like I say. Like so. So that should work. That should work. So just do one big coil. It's just the way it goes. So get my coil, measuring leg jig thing out, and I'm going to go straight in there with a 6mm leg length to begin with. So I'm going to cut that off That's ended up somewhere. Cut that off, ended up somewhere. So I'm going to pop that in there like that, and as you can see, it's too high. So I went 6. Let's go 4. The 4 is the smallest. So if this is still too high, then and it needs to go lower, we'll do that. So no, I'd say that was about as juicy as it's going to get. So I'm going to just screw these legs down. So I'm slamming it straight to the bottom of the deck at the moment. So I'm just securing that down both ends because it is going to spring. I'm just going to pull it up slightly and bend straight like that. I know you can't see that. So it's not working properly, so get it to that. So that's what it looks like. As I said, it isn't perfect, but yeah, got some interlocking action going there. Get back to this. So some cotton. So what I'm hoping as well is that this is not going to hit the top of the chimney. So I'll just give it a quick test for size. I didn't see it. So no, it's not touching at all. So saying that, I might just raise it just slightly, a smidgen. Like that. And then just bring it back slightly. And then I'm just going to go around and clamp them down, and then also just screw down the other post that I'm not using now. So that's down, and that's down. So just going to zero out my mod again. Yes, zero it out again, put it back on. Oh wow. So this is coming out resting at the moment at a 0.13. So I'm just going to turn it down to about 40 watts just to heat it up and get all the hot spots out. So there's definitely some hot spots. I've probably given it stuff as well, wrapping it, unwrapping it. It's nothing a quick strum and tug won't do on the coil. So there is hot spot. I'm getting hot spot there and a hot spot here. But all you need to do is just work them out like so. So I don't know if you can see, probably can't. but when I do that, you can see that there's hot spots just here. Saw it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep strumming and because I keep getting hot spots, so I'm just going to give it a little strum on the inside, and there we are, we're looking good already. There we are. So there's no hot spots in there whatsoever, and it's glowing. It's glowing from the inside out, which is what we want it to do. If you have any questions along the way, you can always just ask. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And there we are. And that's heating nicely, as you can see. So not a total loss. Just want that to cool down. I want to zero out that so I can get a final reading on it. Boy, what a stream. Oh, so I need to put my battery on charge. I completely forgot. But I do I do have a MagSafe charger on the back of my phone. So that's the last of that. So in that I've got some aliens in there, some 28 gauge. And I've got some unicorn milk in. I cough a bit when I'm using this one because I accidentally put, I think, an extra 1 or 2 nick shot in the juice that I'm using, so I use it in my burrow just to give me that bit of a kick. And that's nice. So cotton I'm using is this one at the moment until I run out. But I do prefer Kendo and just ordinary Muji cotton. I have no problems with that cotton. I think it's more fluffier and it actually works a lot better. So I'm just going to cut me a nice piece off there. So that's about the same length. I've got a 4mm coil, so I need a decent amount of cotton. Let me just screw this back on and get my reading. So yes, it's a new coil, and I'm at 0.25. So back to the cotton. Let me go a bit closer so you can see this a bit better. So cotton, I'm just rolling the end and popping it through. So it's got a nice bit of resistance in there, plenty of cotton as well. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to trim it down. The deck where you tuck the cotton in isn't too deep. So what I want to do now is I'm not thinning it out, I'm just fluffing it. So fluffing it just so it wicks alright. And the good thing about the aromomizer is you don't have to pack it as well with cotton. So I can tell by there that is too much cotton, so it will need a bit of a thinning out. So I'm just going to thin it out slightly. So this is the thicker side, so this probably will need just a bit of thinning. And then I'm just going to tuck that in there. Which feels just right. So you want it still fluffy, still filling that juice well up, but you don't want it sticking out too much. And then I'm just going to do the same with this one. And I'm just going to slot that in there like that. So this was the thinner side, so this doesn't need thinning out in any way. There we are. Just get all the stragglers in there and make sure that whatever's sticking out here is not, but is still nice and fluffy to help with that wicking. And that looks good. Like so. So the juice I'm going to be using today is I want a friend made for me, but apart from telling you it is a dessert flavour, that's all I can tell you really. I am sworn to secrecy. So like I say, all I can tell you is at the moment it is a dessert flavour. And it's been steeping now for about 5 weeks, so it's a bit early. Should be about 6 or 7, or longer the better. So that's what I am going to. So I'm just in my drawer here. As you can see, it's where I keep all my juice. So got a nice small bottle of juice there. As you can see, it's so small it fits in the camera. So I'm just going to put about 50 watts and then get some juice on there. So I'm just going to saturate and then just pulse it a bit. Oh, that smells absolutely gorgeous. Oh yes. And that's perfect. Oh wow. Oh. That juice is amazing. Drop a bit more on that coil and press. There we are. And that's perfect. I can smell it and I've just tasted it. It's scrumptious. So that's where we are. I didn't have enough to make 2 coils, so I made 1 4mm coil. So interlock. I don't know if the person that's watching is the one that's been dipping in and out, but I screwed up my first D-core, so I had to do another one, and then didn't have enough to make 2 coils. So I've got 1 4mm coil there, 5 wraps, and we're ohming out at 0.25 ohms. And there we are. So that is the tank built. But what we're going to put it on? Well, with this particular RTA or RDTA, depending on how you look at this RDA, I just want to make sure that those are alright and not obstructing anything, still nice and fluffy, ready to wick. So I'm going to put the bottom on. I've got my juice flow locked off. I'm going to, for good measure, I'm just going to turn the airflow off, and I'm going to fill this tank. We've got good size kidney holes in there, as you can see. So I'm going to fill this up with this juice, and I be honest with you, I cannot wait to vape it. So I am going to fill this tank up about halfway. I don't normally fill it that high on the first initial fill up, just in case there's any leaking or anything, which I don't think there will be. Juice flow is off anyway, so I'm going to set my airflow just on the thinner airflow. Come on. There we are. I'm going to set it on the thinner airflow, and that is filled up about halfway. So what am I going to put it on? So like I said, there's only one mod that I really put it on, to be fair, and that's a mechanical mod. I need a drip tip for this. Will that fit on there? So the only thing with the Aromomizer Plus as well is it doesn't always fit on every drip tip. So yeah, I think that looks good. Blue drip tip on there. Frosted drip tip on there. So I've got that, and I've got that. So I'll put that on there for now. So has to go on the hammer of God, doesn't it? 30mm has to go on the hammer of God. quad parallel battery. This is a clone, I'm afraid. I was unable to source an authentic. And then you've got your voltmeter on there, which will tell you what's left in your batteries and what your voltage drop is as well. So I'm gonna take the sides off, get some batteries. I do have 4 batteries now. I don't know if people do this now, but I always marry my batteries with whatever style mod I have. So I have separate batteries for series and series configuration. I have batteries for parallel configuration that are using only parallel devices, and then obviously my mech mod single battery mech mods, I've got separate batteries for that. So I do have 4 batteries that have been on the charger. So if I remember correctly, these are some high drain batteries. Are OBD batteries, booby batteries. So we don't know what YouTube's going to think about that. Although I have been using a build mat. So yeah, OBD wraps, battery wraps. If you're wondering where I got them from, that's where I got them from. So I've got 1 in there, 1 on that side, so that's 2. 2 on one side in parallel, and then and 2 that side. That makes 4 batteries. So I've just built, whoever's just dipped back in, I've built the Aromizer Plus Special Edition, this blue one. This blue one. It's got a single coil. Interlocked Alien 4mm single coil because I didn't have enough for a dual coil. And it's reading at a 0.25 ohms. So I'm just going to make sure it's got connection, which it hasn't, but my batteries are at about 4.5. So that's not a problem. It's not making a connection because I just need to adjust. Need to adjust the center pin so it makes a connection. So I'm just going to unscrew about that, and then as soon as I feel a bit of resistance, I know it's made a connection, which is about there, I think. Could be wrong. So yeah, we've got vapor, as you can see. So on this coil, voltage drop isn't that bad. Nice. So let's go back up to normal view. So I'll adjust my camera again. So it's going to be a bit janky. Like I said, I haven't got a dual camera set up. But before I do that, let's do a bit of housekeeping and get everything looking tidy. Not that a builder's bench is ever clean, or it is clean, but not for very, very long. So got that up there, and then we'll crack open that second beer. Can't wait. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I've got two mics on. Well, not everybody, because there's not that many people watching, but I am going to put that back into steep a bit longer. So, right, let's get back to where we were. Hiya. So, that normally goes up to about there. I'm going to adjust my seating. So, just going to quickly pop that back, pop that away, make sure my window is open, because that looks as if it's going to. So let's make sure everything is back to normal. There's a full wide angle of my room there. Right, so we've got the Aromomizer Plus Special Edition on there, on the Hammer of God, which is a clone. Okay, so single coil interlock alien in there, messed up first core, powered on, got the second core done, and then only had enough for one big coil. So there's a 4mm coil in there. Let's have a two. Tasty as fuck. Now that airflow is a bit too much for me, so I have closed it down to about that much. And it might also help if I open my juice flow as well. Let all the bubbles escape and go to the bottom of the deck. That juice is spot on. Wow, that juice is only going to get better. So let's crack open the second stout. Hopefully some people might come back, dip in to just catch the end. But like I say, I don't know if I am conflicting with another live stream, but we'll see how it goes. So, cheers guys. Delicious. So my laptop has gone off. I just want to refresh this. So welcome back. We've got all built up. So I've got it on the Hammer of God mechanical mod, and I've got some special juice in there. That juice is spot on as well. Whoever's just joined back in, do you want to just drop a comment so I know who's watching? Shez, got rid of most of my stuff. What are you after? So I've cracked open my second beer, Shez. I don't know if you've been dipping in and out, but the coil went a bit tits up. I messed up my first core, had to do another one because I overstretched the first one. Then didn't have enough D-core to have enough for 2 coils, so I've had to do one big 4mm alien interlock. But I'm sure if you watch the replay, you'll see what the coil looks like. I appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. I'm sure hoping those are not illegal disposables, Shez. I think you should know better. Oh shit, which mech mod did I give you, Shez? I don't remember that. Are you sure it wasn't a mech mod that you borrowed and didn't give me back? I don't remember that. Remind me which mech mod it is. This isn't half kicking out some flavour. And that juice, like I mentioned, amazing. So I know you've commented, Shez. I'm just waiting for it to come up because there's a delay. Okay. The purple and green sleeve. Do you know what mech it was? Excuse me. I don't remember having one with a purple and green sleeve, so it might not have been me that gave you it. But I'm curious to know what mech mod it is, if you know what it is. Small screen. Not what I want. Not what I want. Oh, was it the stainless steel Kennedy by any chance? Why are you giving me some jip now? So let me move that just so I can adjust it, which won't let me adjust. Ah, so it was. Still curious what mech, though. This seems to be wicking good. So second person that's just dipped in, got it built, Aromizer Plus with the Hammer of God on there. Alright, I'm going to have to get the pick after Shez because I'm using my phone to stream, so I can't look at it, but I'll take a look at it after the stream. So the second person that's dipped in, could you just leave a comment so I know who you are and whether you've been dipping in and dipping out? So I don't know if you were here, Interlock, Alien, that I've got on there. Messed up the first core, had to do another one, overstretched the first one, then, excuse me, didn't have enough D-core to make two coils, so I've got one 4mm coil in here, ohming out at 0.25. And my juice that I have to keep a secret at the moment, but I can tell you it's a dessert juice, and it's kicking ass. So there's only a couple of people in here. If the second person can, I don't know, comment. It's one of those dessert juices that you can chain vape and not get sick of it, which is the kind of juice that I like. So it's not too sweet. No, I'm not. I did work for Signature Vape in Huddersfield last year, but diabolical company to work for, I'm afraid. So let me just open my window a bit. It's getting a bit cloudy in here. Let's just add to the weather. But no, I'm not in a vape shop at the moment. I'm just doing this social media. This is my third week doing live stream, so this is what I've been doing. But like I said, I did work for a company over a year ago, and just diabolical. So I'm going to run for a couple of more minutes if nobody else dips in. So if you're hashtag replay crew, shout out to you guys. If you watched this on the live, please hit the subscribe button. Please like, comment and share. Helps with those algorithms, liking, and don't cost you anything to like or subscribe. I think every Wednesday, 8 PM on YouTube, I'll be doing a live. Same sort of scenario. I'll be making some coils from scratch, building something retro. And having a drink. Definitely, mate. I know you're probably not watching now, but definitely, yeah, if you look back, we'll definitely have to have a catch up. That's you, Shez. I saw your message. We'll definitely have to have a catch up. I'm going to leave it there, mate. Okay, so thanks for everybody that's dipped in, that's going to watch. Thank you for everybody. Hashtag replay crew. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Helps with those algorithms and everything. And I'll see you next week. So that's what we built today. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. And I'll see you next week. And I'll see you soon. Love, guys.